Welcome to Theory of Pets. I'm a passionate pet owner with a drive to help others like me uncover the truth about the pet industry and what goes on behind the scenes. I get a lot of questions from listeners who are interested in starting their own blog, and sometimes it's a pet-related blog. It could be a blog about anything. Getting a blog started is really similar in every aspect, no matter what niche your blog is going to focus on. And I can answer these questions, of course, with my personal experiences, but I also wanted to hear from somebody who I know runs a successful blog that could give some of their personal insights on this topic as well. Today, I've asked Maggie Marton to speak with us. She is the creator and the writer on Oh My Dog blog. It's an extremely popular blog. Maggie has been blogging for almost 10 years now, so she has plenty of experience and a lot of great tips to share if you're thinking about starting your own blog. Like I said, I'm glad to have somebody else that can speak about it firsthand. It's definitely something that I feel like everybody, kind of the general gist of it is the same for all of us. We obviously all start on the internet and things like that, but everybody takes their own steps and it's different for everybody. So it's nice to hear unique experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you want to start out just talking about a little bit about your background and what prompted you to start a blog about dogs in the first place?
My name is Maggie, and I'm a freelance writer. I cover all things dog. And cat, guinea pig, hamster, iguana, really anything pet. I also write about sustainability and women's lifestyle topics, but for me, it always comes back to our pets. And as part of that, I started On My Dog blog in the summer of 2009. It's hard to believe, actually, that this will be 10 years this summer, which in internet age is forever.
Forever.
It is, yeah, 10 years is just, it blows my mind. But I think at the time, the internet was totally different than it does today. And I was working in a day job that at the end of each day, I felt super unfulfilled. And I was a writer, but I wasn't getting to write anything I was passionate about. And I had just started reading a ton of blogs then, so I figured, why not start one? And then when I started thinking about what I would write about, the only topic that I felt like I was passionate enough about to sustain a website, to create copy every week, was just the two dogs asleep at my feet, Emma and Lucas, who have both since passed away. But it's hard to believe that in 2009, blogs were an online journal, and now in 2019, they're a full-fledged business. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And I feel like as bloggers, it's in the last 10 years becoming a source of reliable information for people. A lot of people are looking to bloggers for that firsthand experience, whether it's a product review or, if something's going on with your pet, an illness or a skin allergy or something, they're looking for people that have had personal experience more so, when I started in this and you the same way 10 years ago, blogs weren't really a source of reliable information for people. People read them. It was kind of a source of entertainment more than actually a reliable source of information.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the best pieces of the evolution of blogging, is that now pet owners, pet parents, pet guardians, if their dog is facing something, whether it's a diagnosis or a training challenge, they can gather information from their vet or from a dog trainer. But there's something tremendously valuable about reading a first-person experience and being able to connect with an actual human and send them a message or leave them a comment or send them a DM to say, hey, I'm facing this with my dog. Thank you for sharing your experience, and just kind of create that human connection around whatever we're doing with our dog.
Absolutely. And you grew your blog. Obviously, when it started, it wasn't what it is now. Can you walk us through how you grew your blog into such a popular site for pet owners?
Yes, and actually, if you look back at those early posts, sometimes I cringe thinking, what was I thinking? But again, it was 10 years ago, and everything was different. I think the main thing that I want to emphasize is that sometimes blogging, especially now with social media, it sort of has this glossy sheen to it. But the reality is, the way any blog grows and becomes a popular site is just to show up consistently. You have to write lots and lots of posts, and that's what I did. I wrote lots and lots of posts. I took millions of pictures. Most of them were terrible. And for a long time, all of those posts and all of those pictures were out on the internet without being read by anyone. And I think that's one of the challenges, you have to kind of go into it knowing that this is a long game. So over time, I started to attract an audience, and it was based around those first-person issues. Someone would be Googling help for a reactive dog, and they would land on one of my training posts, and we would make that connection. So through that, and over time, and just sticking with it and putting content out, whether anyone was reading it or not, I was able to attract an audience, and I'm very lucky that many of those people have stuck with me through the years. And since, I think this is another thing that bloggers today face that's very different from when we started 10 years ago. The whole internet is so different. There are all sorts of tools now, like Pinterest didn't even exist when I launched. And now it's like, you can take whole courses and join masterminds and all this sort of thing about how to get more blog traffic through Pinterest. There's a lot more content marketing and social sharing and SEO tools, which certainly help to attract an audience, but it really does come down to consistently creating content that provides a service to your readers, creating that personal connection, and it's showing up consistently. And I think that all the tools in the toolbox can help, but unless you make that connection, I really think that that's what has successfully grown my site, was just, fostering relationships with the people who are reading what I'm writing.
Absolutely. I agree. And, you touched on persistence too. And that's something I think that's where a lot of bloggers falter, is that, they put out the content and they think it's really great stuff and they share it on social media and, they're really driven to promote it for a little while, but it doesn't happen overnight. You do have to be persistent and really stick with it and take the time, make those connections with your audience, and it will build over time. But I feel like a lot of people give up too soon in our industry.
Yes, I agree with that. I think because there are so many blogs now and so many successful blogs that I think a lot of starters think to themselves, well, once I buy my URL, it's successful content, the audience will come. And unfortunately, that's just not the reality. You have to keep at it and keep pushing out content and keep providing a valuable service. And all of the tricks in the book, you can have every SEO tool under your belt, every content marketing strategy, but unless you are connecting with the people who are reading, you're not going to get that long-term traction that then drives success.
You've been writing for a long time. How do you keep coming up with new content? Obviously, we think about pets, and of course there are a lot of topics to write on, but when you've been writing for 10 years, that you've used up most of those popular topics.
Yeah, I would say almost all of my ideas come from my own family. When I first started, my two dogs, Emma and Lucas, they sparked so many ideas. And it's about pit bull advocacy and therapy dog work, Lucas about reactive dog training, and then over the last 10 years, we've had foster dogs, we've had rescue dogs, we adopted Cooper, who's my dog now, we added cats to the mix, we dealt with illnesses and injuries with the dogs, we adopted a baby, a human baby, and all of those life events have sparked all of the ideas for my blog posts. I feel like when I write about something real, it gives people something to connect with. I think that it lens and authenticity that creates a relationship with my readers. And I think on the one hand, luckily my animals have given me all of these topics by all of their different shenanigans and things like that. But beyond my life and my animals, the other thing too is a lot of my other ideas come directly from my readers. They'll ask a particularly brilliant question in the comments, or I'll get an email asking for me to expand on a point I made in a post, and I can take those little nuggets and turn them into full-fledged posts. I'm actually looking at my homepage right now, and a great example is my recent post about vegetables to cook and share with your dog. A reader had asked that question, and I thought, I bet more people wonder what vegetables they can share with their dog, so I should just turn this into a full-fledged post in the hopes that it helps someone else.
Yeah, I agree. Those questions, and sometimes they're questions from readers. Sometimes they're questions that I find myself asking. I've been a pet owner my whole life and obviously been working in the pet industry now for more than a decade, but questions still come up. I still, maybe our dog has a new condition that I've never dealt with before, or, obviously there's always new products hitting the market and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I find myself asking questions, or I get questions from readers, and you think to yourself, obviously you can't be the only person out there wondering, that question. So that's a great way to come up with some new ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes back to the earlier point about providing a service. I think it's really important for bloggers and that service can be entertainment as well as education, but to help their readers feel like they're gaining something from the time they spend with you, because we're all so limited every day, and there is so much content out there. You could spend an entire day reading blog posts and still not even cover everything that was posted just that day. So if you can find a way to provide value to your readers that makes them think, gosh, Samantha always has something so helpful to say, I'm going to bookmark this and come back, every week or whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so obviously 10 years, you've done a lot of different things. What's been the most difficult part of being a dog blogger in that time?
There are many.
The list goes on and on, right?
Yes. I think, I think the thing with blogging is that it requires so many different skills. You need to be a writer. You need to be a photographer. You need to be a graphic designer. You need to be your own tech support. It's fun and it's certainly challenging to have that many moving parts every single day, but it makes blogging a lot more difficult than most people think. Because you kind of have to do it all. And then when you start earning money, if you don't have an assistant or something, you have to do your accounting. And so it's just kind of learning all these different pieces. For me personally, the most challenging part is the technical stuff. I have absolutely no background in coding or web design or anything like that, but I'm thankful I've been doing this long enough, and it's a piece of my overall freelance business that I've been able to here and there hire experts to help me with the parts that were the toughest for me. But that was not the case in the beginning. I used to watch hours of YouTube videos trying to figure out how to fix one little piece of broken code or to shift an image a little bit. And so I think, luckily with time that becomes easier, or you find the experts. But yeah, the technical stuff for me has been the most difficult. For someone else, it might be the writing or the social media marketing or something like that. But that's definitely been my toughest challenge.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because the tech part is a challenge for me. And I think for both of us, we didn't grow up in a generation where, we had cell phones and laptops and things at our fingertips at such an early age that kids do now. And I was never tech savvy, even, as I got into early adult life when more technology was available. I think because we didn't have it when we were younger, our generation just didn't get into it as much. But that's one of the things that I always tell people that ask me about blogging is you don't need to be a tech genius. You don't need to have a degree in web design or coding. It certainly absolutely would help you, but you don't have to have that to be successful. And I think that's what scares a lot of people and intimidates people going into it, is they think, I'm never going to be able to figure all of this out. But, like you said, it takes more work, and it's a lot of hours of watching YouTube and doing research and figuring it out. But it can be done if you're willing to put in the extra effort.
Absolutely. And, it's funny because we're talking specifically about pet blogging, but there are every segment of blogger out there. And so whenever people ask me what platform to start on, I always recommend WordPress. And there are thousands of beginner WordPress blogs. So as you're working on your pet blog and you encounter a struggle, you can go to a blog in another market and find the answer to your question, because they are doing the same thing for their market, where they're trying to provide a lot of useful, valuable information. So you can really find every answer to every question on the internet for free. I agree with you completely. That shouldn't stop anyone from getting started. If you have a little bit of money you can work with, you can always hire an expert to fix little problems here and there, but everything is on the internet for free.
Absolutely. And talking about the blogging and getting started, I recommend WordPress too for anybody that's listening that might be thinking about it. If you've done your research and you're kind of getting ready to jump into a blog of any kind, WordPress is always my go-to recommendation as well.
That's great. Yeah. It's the gold standard, I think, right now.
So we've talked about the difficult part. Obviously, we don't want to put anybody off because it is doable for anyone. Well, let's talk about the fun stuff. What has been the most fun, the easiest thing that's just come really naturally for you with blogging?
Well, I love that question because it's such a simple answer. We get to write about dogs. Like, there is absolutely nothing better than sitting down and crafting a post about dogs. They bring so much joy and richness to our lives, and getting to capture that in writing and photography is just the best. I don't think there's a better job in the world.
I could not agree more. I mean, we get to literally build a career around the thing that we love. We get to do something every day that we enjoy. It's never, a hard thing to do. I do product reviews and write information about dogs. It's never hard to play with your dog to find inspiration, or to try out a new product with your pet, or take a trip with your pet for inspiration. It's always fun and exciting.
Absolutely. And I always think whenever I am having a frustrating day, if it's a technical problem or I can't get the right photo or whatever, I always think that my worst days doing this are better than the good day of any other job I could have. I'm playing with dogs and cats. I write a lot about cats too. But it's just, there's absolutely nothing better.
Well said. It is so true. A bad day in our job is not worse than the best day at a different job.
Absolutely.
So if there's one dog-related topic that you could help shed some light on, from, adopting instead of shopping, responsible pet ownership, puppy mills, what would that one, if you could get on your soapbox and talk about one thing, what would it be?
This is a hard question for me because I actually have two really big ones that kind of drive my mission in my work, but I will start with the first one, and it is, without a doubt, pit bull advocacy. I think pit bull type dogs face tremendous discrimination, and in some cases, that discrimination makes them illegal to own in some cities and counties and even countries. I think dogs that are identified as pit bull type dogs make up the majority of the dogs entering the shelter system across the country due to, breed discrimination, misperception about the breed, popularity with backyard breeders. Unfortunately, my Cooper, came from a backyard breeding situation, and he has a ton of the stereotypical problems as a result of being from that background. I think when I adopted Emmett in 2006, he was a pit bull type dog, and he put my feet squarely on this path of advocacy for dogs like him and dogs like Cooper. And since 2006, I will say I've seen a lot of strides. A lot of breed-specific legislation has been overturned. There seems to be a shifting change in public perception, and I think Instagram actually plays a really big part in that, by having so many really adorable, cute, pit bull accounts. But there's still such a long way to go. So I try to, on my blog, weave in pit bull advocacy topics anywhere where possible and appropriate. So it's just such a passion project for me. And it's so important.
Absolutely. And I could not agree more. You know, we're seeing so many pit bulls or pit bull mixes in shelters. And, you know, like you said, from small homeowners associations right through to cities, federal governments, you know, it's terrible to see these dogs being stereotyped. And the thing that I think bothers me the most in this instance is that if you look back in history, there's always certain breeds that have been stereotyped as aggressive dogs that shouldn't be around children, shouldn't be in family homes. You know, Rottweilers have been deemed that breed in the past, Dobermans, and we just kind of keep flowing through these dog breeds. And it's so frustrating to me that we make our peace, I guess, with one breed. And now, you know, Rottweilers are becoming more popular again, and you're seeing them, you know, in more family homes. And so we've kind of realized with that breed in particular that it's more of the way that the dog's raised and the training that the dog has and not the breed itself. But now we've kind of dumped it on another breed, and now we're doing the same thing to pit bulls. So it's so maddening to me, and I'm glad that, you know, you're helping shed a light on that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think too there's something about the sensationalism on the internet. You know, everybody wants clicks, and so they use pit bull type dogs as a way to rile people up.
Sure.
And get people upset and fired up about a topic. And, you know, so much is misreported, and so many characteristics of the breeds are misrepresented that they don't get a fair shake, you know?
It's actually
great dogs.
It's funny that you say that. I live in Maine, and we it was just a few months back. It was early winter, maybe late fall. There was a dog attacked a little girl, and the little girl ended up passing away. And the dog was not a pit bull, and it made news in the local town, and it kind of got a little tiny bit of buzz statewide. But overall, it was just kind of a, you know, this toddler was misbehaving around this dog. The parents weren't around paying attention, and it was just a really bad situation, but didn't get pinned on the dog as an aggressive dog, a bad breed, anything like that. And it became a thing in state news because everybody was saying if that dog had been a pit bull, this would have been a national newsmaker. It certainly would have blown up statewide. It would have been in every newspaper, on every news channel. But since it was a dog, it actually happened to be a Labrador, which aren't commonly known to be aggressive. Because it was a different breed of dog, it did make the news, and people were certainly concerned about it, but it didn't become this huge thing. And a lot of people associated that with the breed that the dog was, which is just a sad thing. Not that I think, you know, anything should be blown up to that extent. That poor family, I can't imagine what they dealt with in that time. And I'm sure the last thing they wanted was news reporters around them. But it was an interesting point, I felt like, that was brought out by people, you know, that advocate for pit bulls, that it's just funny that if a pit bull attacks somebody, even if the person isn't seriously injured by that, it just seems to take on this whole life of its own with, you know, misleading headlines to get clicks and people sharing it, you know, that are talking about this breed and how this breed is terrible. And, you know, when it's not a pit bull, but it's a very similar situation, it doesn't get the same coverage.
Yeah, and I think the unfortunate thing with situations like that, any dog attack is a tragedy. It is just heartbreaking that little girl lost her life in such a horrible. It's tragic, and the unfortunate thing about focusing on the breed of dog who was or was not involved ignores the controllable aspects of any dog attack, whether fatal or injurious. Looking at the human end of the situation, if you don't want to victim blame or anything like that and bring the poor girl's parents into it, certainly, but I think looking at the factors of supervising children, most dog attacks happen to unsupervised children. Making sure that it is a dog who is a pet dog and not a tethered outside guardian dog. Making sure the dog is spayed or neutered. All of these things that are consistent factors in dog bite and dog attack are more controllable and able to be controlled for than the breed of the dog involved.
Absolutely.
And I think we just focus on the wrong thing in the media, because talking about, untether your dog is not as sensational as a topic as pit bull attack, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And I think it all comes back to education. And that's one of the things that I preach about, I guess, in this industry and mm-hmm. between blog posts and podcasts is education. And it's not, we're talking about a really serious issue that certainly should be closer to the top of the list, but education in general. If you are going to own a pet, you need to educate yourself on every aspect of that pet, from feeding and veterinary care to behavior and training. It's something that so many people take on so lightly, whether it's that, I want to help a rescue animal, or you have kids and they're asking for a pet and so you adopt one, whatever the reason behind you wanting to adopt, and no matter what it is. Cats can be a difficult animal to own if you don't know what you're getting into. It's all about education and really taking the time to do that research before you make the decision to bring an animal into your home.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So we've now covered so many different topics. I feel like if you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice to give someone considering starting their own blog, what would you tell them if somebody came to you and asked your advice?
I would say just start. Like we were talking about earlier, there's so many tools available today to make it super easy to launch. And so if you have the idea and you have the heart and the passion to do it, just do it. We said this earlier, I always recommend WordPress, and you can start for free today if you want to. You don't even have to start with a paid account. Just go into it knowing that it takes time to build and gain momentum, but there's no reason to hesitate or to overthink. It's so easy to just start, and then you can start getting your education and your ideas and your passions out there. I will also add that the other thing that has helped me tremendously is having a support network, a community of dog bloggers, cat bloggers, hamster bloggers who all kind of come together to answer questions and help support each other. I've found a lot of that on Facebook, and recently a longtime colleague of mine, Carol Bryant, we actually just finished writing the draft of a book about all things pet blogging. And as part of that, we did start a Facebook group to support pet bloggers through their challenges. So if anyone wants that support network, you can just search Pro Pet Blogger on Facebook. But truly, the only piece of advice is just do it. There's no reason not to. And then you will get to write about dogs for fun. And it's the most rewarding, wonderful thing.
For sure. Just do it. Just get started. I love that. That really is what it is. What it comes down to is, so many people are, what if this, what if that? Like you said, you don't have to start with a paid account. We're not telling you to quit your full-time job and become a dog blogger today, but get started. Do it. I don't personally know anybody that is a successful blogger that quit their job, started out on day one, and just did it that way. Everybody I know did it part-time in the beginning, worked their way up, and once they were able to make a living through being a freelance writer and a blogger, that's when they quit their job. It's not something that you need to commit to 100% of your time right away. Start slow, do what's right for you. If you can do 1 hour a week, start with 1 hour a week. If you can do 15 hours a week, start with 15 hours a week. Whatever you can do it and get started.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, too, the other thing is, if you don't want to turn it into a business, it's an amazing side hobby. You can make a little bit of money, but it's also, if you're just looking for a passion project, which was how I started, it's worth that as well. And then you can, you might as well start with a free account and start to network with other pet people, and it opens up so many opportunities for you and for your dog.
Yeah, and speaking of that, it is a great way to connect with people. If you don't necessarily want to do it full time, but you love dogs, you love pets, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a pet person, but I feel like pet people are a unique type of person. We are a really great community of people. And, if you just want to meet more people that are interested in similar things, it's a great way to meet people in your local area, in your state, in all over the world. Whatever you're interested in, you can certainly do that. So, great. That's great advice for anybody that's thinking about starting a blog.
Yeah, just start. And when you do, send us your URL so we can check it out.
Absolutely. Right. And we will share it and try and get you some followers for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, Maggie, thank you so much. This has been so wonderful. I think we've shared some great information for our listeners. Like I said, I get quite a few questions from people interested in starting a blog or just kind of in the beginning stages of thinking about it. And so I think this is really going to help a lot of people.
Good. Well, Samantha, thank you so much for having me. It was so fun to chat with you.
A huge thank you to Maggie for being here on the show today. She shared some really great information, and it was so nice to connect with her. If you'd like more information, be sure to jump on our website, theoryofpets.com. You can leave any questions there. While you're on the site, if you wouldn't mind taking just a couple of minutes to leave a review of the podcast, it really helps me when I'm reaching out to people like Maggie to show them that you guys are out there listening and you want to hear more. And of course, there's a link to Maggie's website, Oh My Dog Blog, underneath this podcast as well, if you want to check that out. She's written on, as she said, all topics pet related. So there's some great stuff on there, and it's a really wonderful resource. I encourage you to jump on there and be sure to bookmark it because she's always posting new stuff, and you never know when one of her posts might be exactly what you're looking for. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. I will be back with another hot topic very soon.